Hey, how you doing? I hope you're well. I'm Diana and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to be sharing with you my TBR for September. I don't tend to do TBRs mostly because I am a massive mood reader and I don't know why, but the way my brain works is that even if I put a list of books that I'm so excited to get to, I instantly will not want to read them. So this is more of like, I guess, a pile of possibilities. And the reason why I wanted to share my TBRs with you today is because in September I will be taking part in 2 readathons. So the readathons I'm taking part in is the Romance Readathon and the Magical Orilium Readathon. So first up, we'll have a look at the Romance Readathon. So the Romance Readathon has been created and put together by Maggie from Maggie's Books and Stuff. I had so much fun last year when she did the Romance Readathon. It was Bridgerton themed. It's very Discord heavy and I'm not like a huge Discord fan, but I just loved the fact that you picked a team. It was all very themed and she'd written like a weekly post as if she was running the gossip rag in Bridgerton times. And this year's theme is Phantom of the Opera, which is so good. And it's going to get me right into the spooky season for October. Now, it's a team-based challenge and I have decided to join Team Ballet Dancers, which is hosted by April from Happily Ever April and Amber from Amber Reads Romance. Okay, so the way you get points is based on the number of pages. So it's quite simple. The idea is that you get a point for every page you read, but there's bonus points. So you can get bonus points if it's got a gothic atmosphere, extra bonus points if it's a Phantom of the Opera retelling, and then also you can get bonus points for your team's prompts. So just gonna put the ballet dancers card here and you'll see very quickly the reason why I chose them is because the bonus prompts are why choose and shifter. So yeah, I couldn't pass that one up and very happily pieced together a beautiful TBR which includes as many shifter and or gothic-y why choose romances as I possibly could. So as I mentioned, this is like a pile of possibilities. So there's like a chance I might not get to all of these. I might get to none of these. Depends really where my mood takes me. So first book on the list is Sanctuary with Kings, which is the 3rd book in the Tempting Monsters series by Catherine Moon, which, fun fact, the first book in the series, Lady of Rooksgrave Manor, was the first why choose romance that I ever read. So that was my gateway drug into the trope. And I believe this is the final book potentially, but I love that it's set in this kind of Victorian setting. We've got some gothic vibes, and in this one we are following Evanthea, who has spent most of her life trapped inside the 7th Veils, but I believe she was introduced in the end of the 2nd book when they had kind of took on the big bad, and she ends up escaping the demon and ends up on the streets of London. So she is rescued by a mysterious monster who vows to offer her sanctuary, and I'm excited. These books do have a lot of spice. I am interested to see which monsters Evanthea ends up with because we've had some interesting monsters in the series and definitely ticks the gothic vibes, so very, very excited to get to that one. Another one that I'm looking forward to getting to and actually reading from Kendra Monaro is Philomena and the 7 Deaths. If I really enjoy this one, I believe she's also going to Babe, which I just got tickets for, so I'll be able to, you know, pre-order a copy. And this one is following Philomena, who thought she had luck on her side when she became a young widow and was fortunate enough to inherit her late husband's wealth. And her life was pretty much the comfortable life of the aristocracy of the time, where she just basically had to go to parties at night, have some brunch with the girls, and she had, you know, the wealth and the privilege to afford the freedoms that women of the time could only dream for. That is until she wakes up 6 feet underground. So yeah, the first death was easy apparently, as it was traumatic, and she claws her way through the mud only to find a confused reaper waiting for her. Her second death makes her realize something bigger is going on, and by the 3rd death she's had enough. And she has 4 monsters coming to claim that she is the reincarnation of Lilith, and with each death she will grow closer to fulfilling her prophecy. And that sounds completely amazing because Philomena has only kind of grasped her freedom of being a wealthy widow, and now she has to live up to this prophecy. This one sounds so much fun. It's been a while since I've read the synopsis, so I forgot that this woman just keeps dying, and I am very much looking forward to that. From books that I own, I have have Reverie and Redemption by Cadence Snow, and this is a Why Choose romance. It is a standalone as well, and I picked this one up when I met Candace at Rare a couple of years ago. So this one follows a woman who is in love with 3 men, why choose, and she's not sure if they're a dream come true or her worst nightmare. So it begins with her hearing voices. This woman seems to be struggling with mental health issues and potential madness. Apparently it was inevitable considering the whole town that she lives in hates her. She kind of feels guilty that just by association the people she loves ends up in hospital, so she feels she deserves the town's hate. And there are 3 distinct but alluring voices in her head that appear before her eyes. As 3 men rock up, she kind of just starts to question what the hell is going on and everything she thought she knew. They call themselves the Dreamwalkers, and they told me that they were hunting the monsters attacking the people around me. And yeah, that sounds wonderful. I did read a book earlier last month that had kind of the... Actually, I read 2 last month that had the mental health potential setting. Like the idea of a dreamwalker, and also love the fact that it's a standalone. So this one could be great, and I would love to try Cadence Snow's work. Another one, I don't know if it's Why Choose. I don't think it is, but it definitely hits the kind of gothic vibe, is Her Cruel Dahlias by Cadence Robinson. So this follows a girl named Cricket Wakefield who thought she had a bright future. She had a life filled of love and dreams of dance, and that future is shattered the night she was brutally murdered. But the dead don't always stay dead, and the living moves on without them. A year later, she's awoken by a necromancer's magic, with no choice but to join a woman's carnival and hone her newfound skills amongst others like herself. Okay, I have too many books on my TBR that I lose track of them. I love a circus setting. I don't particularly like going to the circus, but I love a circus setting. So when the carnival arrives in her old town, Cricket learns that more victims have been discovered. Victims decorated in black dahlias, just as she'd been. Now with the help of a handsome and infuriating fellow performer, Cricket must stop her killer before she winds up dead again, and this time for good. So that sounds wonderful. I am looking forward to this one, and this one, it looks like it's a short book, under 300 pages. I do have a Phantom of the Opera retelling on my list, and that is The Point of No Return by Devon Sinclair. This is one of the ones I haven't read from her, and all I know is that it is a Phantom of the Opera retelling, and we've got 3 heroes who are gargoyles. We're following a woman named Christine Daniel who believes she's going mad. It was supposed to be simple, 1 month, 1 opera, 1 chance to make her entire career, but now she's going crazy. She was only here to sing, but nothing in Paris is what it seems. The old opera house feels very much alive. Voices echo through the walls, gargoyles come to life, and she's dragged into a world that she never knew existed. The world of monsters. So I haven't read a monster romance from Devon Sinclair before, but I love her. I love her Amigaverse. I just read a couple of her fantasy ones, so very much excited to dive into this one. And I also did just spend a lot of money on a very beautiful special edition for this one, so perfect excuse to read it. Another gothic one on my list, I'm very sure this isn't a Why Choose or a Shifter Romance, but it does have the gothic vibes, is A Dark Macabre by Naomi Loud. And this one is an enemies to lovers forbidden romance with a magical realism twist. And it's the first book in the Perverse City series. And this city is home to the wicked, depraved, and perverse, built upon the urges of deviant desires and twisted cravings. Each soul fated to this damn city worships at the altars. So we've got 6 bloodlines who are devoted to the darkest proclivities, destined to rule the city in, I guess, some kind of god's image, potentially. The 6 families bound in exchange for absolute domination and glory, but even the gods have their favorites, and the time has come to usher in a new age. Mercy and Wolfgang have always been enemies, fueled by a centuries-old family quarrel. Their hate runs deep, and if it wasn't prohibited, they already would have killed each other. But as much as they want to fight it, even the powerful can't escape their fate. And while both believe the city is their birthright and will go to great lengths to gain control, their arrogance and their thirst for power will lead them directly on the path of the gods' choosing. So to claim their rightful place as rulers, they will need to become a unified team. And I am a bit behind on reading this one, but I think it's going to be perfect for this readathon, and it will be definitely a top priority. But in the promo of this book, she had like references of Morticia Addams, and I love Morticia Addams, so I am really hoping our girl Mercy gives those vibes, and I'm very excited to read this one, and I think it's going to be a great gothic delight. Then we have Dreadful Desires by Lucy Lark. This is the Monsters of Whitechapel, so it is definitely giving the gothic vibes. It's a gothic why choose romance, and when I first ordered it, it said it was perfect for fans of Penny Dreadful, which is one of my all-time favorite TV series, even though I have only one episode of the whole series to watch, and I still haven't watched it and completed it, if that says something about my brain. So we have a woman who is a doctor. Her father taught her everything she knew about anatomy, and she's now trying to solve his murder, and she's not doing too well given the, you know, misogyny that's rampant in 1888. She is getting very frustrated with the people and the men in power. Apparently it seems her father had left her not only a murder to solve, but a labyrinth of secrets. She is drawn to this sinister web of intrigue and trapped in a blood bond with a horde of tempting savage beasts that were once in league with her dad. Her menagerie is unique in the ways a doctor like her could only dream of. They make her question everything that she thought they knew, and they're desperate to protect her from the evil and the darkness. A depraved butcher my defender knows too well, and now he's set his sights on me. So I love the fact that we've got Jack the Ripper as the backdrop, which is something I freaking love. It may be a cliche, but I love it, and we're gonna have some monsters. If it's Penny Dreadful, I'm hoping we get like Dracula and Frankenstein. We've got, you know, I was gonna say The Creature in the Black Lagoon, but I mean, maybe that's a monster. We've got those kind of classic horror gothic monsters, and this is perfect. I don't know if the second book is out just yet. Oh my god. Oh my god! Why haven't I picked this up sooner? Look at the artwork. Oh my god, I saw Mr. Grey. We've got Dorian Gray. Okay, this one I'm definitely reading. I have convinced myself it's now going to be hard for me not to pick it up now. This one will definitely be read. It's criminal that it's been on my TBR and on my shelf since Rare. I'm under no illusion that I will get to all of these books, although I do have some time off in September. I have what's called my post-peak burnout leave, which I always book after the busy period at work, so maybe I will get a lot of reading done. Another book I am dying to get to is Their Lethal Pet by Lexi C. Foss. I've only read one of Lexi's books in the past, and I completely love her world, and this is Why Choose Monster Romance, and basically it looks like it's set at what's called Monsters Night, which is an annual event where portals to other realms open up and the monsters flood the streets searching for their potential mate, and she is one of the candidates. Basically, she has been thrown to the wolves, essentially. She has broken all the rules, and she fought back against an elitist system hell-bent on enslaving humankind, and she's very much convinced that she's not going to let anyone claim her and die trying, let alone 3 of them. So we have Orcus, Reaper, and Flame, who do save her from a very compromising position, but she is determined not to fall under their power. They've chosen her, and it seems it's a dark paranormal romance, so am interested in that one, and I believe I have the audiobooks. That'll be a good one for that. And I believe the last of the Why Choose I have on my list is Falling Shadows by Casey Keene, and I freaking love Casey Keene. Unfortunately, I haven't read as much of her work as I want to. She does do a fantastic Magical Academy, and this one is the first book in her Silvercrest Academy. So Silvercrest Academy trains and prepares the most gifted and most privileged among us for their further contributions to the monarchy. And while our main character may come from the right family, she is a void. She has no gifts and no magic and no abilities. From the shadowy underworld to the highest peaks of the land, she is going to need every ounce of strength she can get to survive this place. Guaranteed prosperity is what's promised if you graduate. However, only time will tell if Silvercrest will be the beginning of the end for her. She's at home at the darkness where brutality feeds on the weak and fuels the strong. So I am very much excited for this one. I love the dark gothic vibes. We have 4 books in this series, so who knows, I might decide to binge it all I did love her Saints Academy series, which was more gods, and this one does look a little bit darker and more gothic. And yeah, I'm just very excited to read more of her work. Oh, sorry, I lied to you. I have one more Why Choose on the list, but this one also falls into the shifter category. And this is Into Their Woods, which is by Ivy Asher and Anne Denton. I haven't read anything from Anne Denton before, but I love Ivy Asher. And this is I think it's like a twist on Red Riding Hood. We've got werewolves, we've got Why Choose. It looks like this woman ends up stopping in a small town, possibly on a road trip, didn't think anything of it, just pulled over, rocked up to a diner, had something to eat, until she ends up running through the forest wearing nothing but a red cloak, being hunted by wolves. And she's desperate, terrified, thinks she's gonna die, but when they attack, it isn't to the death, because the den of wolves that bite her somehow turn into men who swear that she is just like them and isn't a shifter. And as much as she doesn't want to believe them, she's not sure that they're entirely wrong. And yeah, the den claims that they can help her tame her wolf, and to be careful because they're not the only beast lurking in the woods. And yeah, I think it's a duology, I'm not sure, but I've heard great things about this one. This one was really buzzing last year when it was first released in October. So I think the second book's coming out this October. So if I like it, I can read Into Their Den the minute it comes out. Okay, let's move on to the shifters. We have a few of them. I do love a paranormal romance and I do love a shifter. Ironic because I wasn't at all Team Jacob. Alpha's Burden by Luna Lark, and this is a relatively new release. All I know about it is that it's a rejected fated mate story, which I'm not normally a huge fan of rejected fated mates, but I have it on good authority from the experts over on Bookstagram that we do have some groveling and that Caden does grovel and he grovels hard. So our female main character basically thought that being bonded to Caden Blackburn was all she ever dreamed of. Those dreams were crossed the moment this pack branded her bloodline as traitors for challenging the alpha, and she is the only packmate that's unable to shift and is considered broken. So, because no one wants a useless or powerless mate, Hayden rejects her as he takes on the mantle of Alpha. Their bond awakens and it looks like he's all like, oh, I'm so sorry, we should be together. And she's kind of like, I'm not really sure about this. I don't think so. I've heard great things about this one. Luna Lark is the pen name for Victoria Eden, and I really did love a book of hers I read last year, and this cover is beautiful. So yeah, this one is definitely at the tippity top of my list. Another new release on my radar, which is coming out in September, is Sing Sweet Nightingale by Rebecca Rennick. This is less shifter romance and more like Wolfman monster romance, and it sounds like a lot of fun. It looks like we are following a famous glittering pop star who is starting to get a little bit jaded and burnt out by the limelight, and she has a overbearing momager who's working her to the bone just to make sure she stays on top of the charts and keeps the money rolling in. The only way she knows how to escape is to basically put on a disguise and run away. So she ends up in a small town of Snowberry in Montana. She's hoping to blend in, just get some much needed R&R in her little quaint little log cabin, and she is interrupted when the town mayor and owner of the cabin that she's renting returns. There is more to this tall, dark and handsome Hunter Evans. He is a wolf shifter, so I do have a shifter, and not only that, she's apparently his mate. We have fated mates, we've got a pop star. Oh my god. Sorry, I just read the next line in the blurb. So it says, what more could a girl have to deal with than hiding from the paparazzi, a controlling mother and millions of fans? Nothing much, just a blackmailing mob boss elf who wants the town of Snowberry for himself. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna read this one when it comes out. And I mean, look at that cover. So yeah, I'm very much excited to read that one. Some more that are on my TBR is Salvation by Cassie Leyland. And this is a first book in the Small Town Pack series. And it looks like there's 2 destinies, 1 curse, and a secret to die for. So Mia Jones returns back to Woodland Woodlands Falls, pack up the past and basically get the hell out of there. After 15 years, she thinks it should be easy. However, she stumbles into the town's sexy bartender, Noah Cole, and his wolfish grin and impossibly bright blue eyes trigger a forgotten memory that throws her plans into a tailspin. When she discovers Noah's secret, I'm assuming that he's a wolf, maybe, their reunion goes from destined to deadly, and now she must choose between her heart and preventing an ancient curse that threatens the entire shifter community. What if those she loves are the biggest threat? So this sounds so much fun. I do have first 2 books in this series. So yeah, they're nice and short, and I believe Cassie Lynn is going to be going to one of the book signings I'm going to next year, so would love to be able to read it and bring it so she can sign it. The last shifter book I have is Kimberly Lemming's That Time I Got Drunk and Needed a Love Potion at a Werewolf. This single-handedly is my favorite title of any book, and I really did love That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon. So we have met our werewolf character in this one, and I'm very much excited. So it looks like we are following Bree, who is our cheese merchant, and they're having some kind of festival event gathering, and this man tries to drug her with a love potion, and she's not having a single bar of it, so she tries to throw it back at him. However, the man ducks and it smacks our werewolf in the face, and now he is convinced that they are fated mates and they're in love. I love Kimberly Lemming's writing. It's very comical. They're fun, cozy reads, and I am excited. For whatever reason, when I was buying these in these beautiful new published editions, this one was out of stock for like months. So I had like book 1 and 3 for ages, but I couldn't get my hands on this one. So this one might be a really good palette cleanser as we get through some of the darker toned books. So it might be just a really fun, light read to kind of mix it up when I'm in the mood, and it would be great to continue on with this series. I've got a couple more for the Romance Readathon, which I think will fit the whole dark vibes. And the first one is Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. I fell in love with Harley LaRue earlier this year when I read The Losers Duet, and this is the first book in this series. My understanding is that we're following a woman named Ray, who is a YouTuber, and she does like paranormal investigations, and she ends up in this small town where it's believed to be supernatural in some cases. So she ends up in this small town, does this ritual, and somehow manages to summon a demon named Leon. And yeah, monsters are roaming the woods. There's something ancient, something evil waking up, and she doesn't know who she can trust. So not only does she end up with Leon stalking her, he promises that he can help protect her, but it's going to cost her soul. And I've heard that there's a lot of steam in here. I've heard it's a little bit chaotic, a little dark, and yeah, this sounds really fantastic. Now I have these beautiful fabled editions. I really want to pick this series up. And the last one, if I'm in the mood for something dark but also lighter and it's a rom-com, I have Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. This is a dark stalker rom-com, and it was so popular at the start of this year, and I'm having some FOMO, and it's definitely in the same vein as Butcher and Blackbird, so I just thought this would be fitting for kind of potentially dark gothic vibes. Alright, so that is my pile of possibilities for the Romance Readathon. I will be part of the ballet dancers theme. I'm so excited to see what little prompts and clues we have, like weekly updates from the Phantom. I am very excited to see how that storyline plays out. The pure creativity and the love and effort I can tell that Maggie puts into this readathon is just phenomenal. So yeah, I am so excited to watch this one unfold. Okay, and then I will go through my TBR for the Orilium Magical Readathon. So this is one of my favorite readathons. I feel like I say that all the time, but I've been taking part in this readathon for years now. This is hosted by G from the Book Roast, and she has created this amazing world, and the idea is that you have to complete certain prompts to satisfy a particular career or calling you're going into. So my character has been working on getting the grades required for the wild form druid. So I did successfully pass my exams for the spring equinox. So for the autumn equinox, I have a number of exams to pass. I try and won't make it too complicated, but in this particular version of it, you have to read books in order to get a particular grade. So you've got ordinary, qualified, and distinguished. So I'll go through each of the subjects I need to pass and then which grade I need to obtain from them. Hopefully it makes more sense. I will leave some information about the Magical Readathon because it's a bit complicated if you're interested in joining. Also, I will leave details about Maggie's Romance Readathon as well because that one is just a wild fun time and I think you should do both, like me. So first grade I need to pass. I need to get a distinguished in animal studies. So to do that, I can't just read the prompt for the distinguished grade. I'll need to read the ordinary and then the qualifying and then to get the distinguished. To get the ordinary grade for animal studies, I need to read a book with a phoenix on the cover, and I'm going for a chunky beast. I'm going for Flame and Sparrows by S.M. Gaither. And here we go. Here's the phoenix. There's also a phoenix on the standard cover, but this one, from my understanding, is the first book in a duology, and it follows a girl who is unhappy with the gods. So she ends up training to be an assassin and finds her way into the fire god, possibly the sun god's court, with the goal to kill him, and love ensues. So I've heard wonderful things. The girls who love fantasy romance really love this particular book. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun time, and this is going to pass my prompt for the ordinary. So yeah, I'm starting with a chunky book for this readathon. So once I finish that one, to get qualifying in animal studies, I need to read a standalone. And for this, I am going to read The Point of No Return by Devon Sinclair, because that is a standalone Phantom of the Opera retelling. To get the distinguished mark, I need to read a book that's had a cover change. So I'm going to go with Forged by Malice by Elizabeth Helen, and this is the third book in their Beast of Briar series, which is a Why Choose Beauty and the Beast retelling. I binge read books 1 and 2 this month, so very excited to get to books 3 with book 4 coming out. So this was originally a traditionally published series, so they had this cover with the woman and flowers on it, and since it's been picked up, we have changed to this kind of text and illustration cover. So that one very much counts. So the next subject I need to work on is the Art of Illusion. I need to get a qualifying in this one, and first is a random emoji generator. So let's pull up the emoji. Oh, do I want to do more than one? Let's see. We'll randomize it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. This, I don't know what this symbol is, but it looks vaguely witchy. So I am going to pick Her Soul to Take for the random emoji prompt because she summons a demon, and I'm assuming there's some kind of witchy ritual to do so. There we go. And then to get my distinguished, I need to read a prequel, and for this one I'm going with Her Feral Beast by E.P. Barley. She writes Why Choose Romance, and I believe it is also, it does become set in like a magical school, which are just absolute 2 buzzwords for me. But this is the prequel. I know Izzy from Happy for Now just recently like binge read this and the 2 books that are out. So we're following a girl named Aurelia, who is a discarded girl. She's been forced to live in isolation and is forbidden to speak of her powers and forbidden to find her soul bonded mates. She awaits the day that she can escape the human college and live her life free and away from her father and the beasts that might come to claim her. But when she's called to heal an injured beast locked away in a dungeon, he's not the only monster caged there, and the course of her life changes forever. So I think this is the first time where we get to meet her and her mates, and then we jump into the next book, which is going to be where she's in the school. I am very much excited. I love a Why Choose paranormal romance. I love a magical school, and I'm hoping it's going to give me the same like just bingeability, fun, wild ride that the Mate Game series gives me. So the next subject I need to complete is astronomy, and I just need to get an O for that one, and the prompt for the ordinary grade is a book released in your birth month. Now this took me forever to find a book released in April. I don't know if that's just not a popular publishing month, but anyway, I am going with Pucking Ever After Volume 1. It's Why Choose actually, so even though it's not at all gothic, it will still give me some points for the Romance Readathon, and this is book 1.5, and I think it's like a little novella which checks in with what's happening with Rachel and her guys after the end of Pucking Around. So I'm very much excited to see that, and then I can move on to Pucking Wild, which is the second book. I like to read things in order. It's just the way my brain works. So yeah, excited to squeeze another novella onto this TBR. The next subject I have to complete for my calling is Restoration, and I need to get a distinguish in this one. So for the ordinary prompt, it is to read a book with a night sky on the cover. And I completely forgot to include this book because that's just who I am. And it is Smoke by Sarah Yeager. And this is a shifter romance. It is the first book in her Adeline Bloodline series. And I've been meaning to read this one probably since it came out because it sounds amazing. So we're following a girl named Talia. And in this world, shifters have recently been outed to the public. And she's not really sure what the whole big deal about it is. And it looks like her parents are into politics and her life now in danger. And the only person who can protect her is the true king of the wolves. And Caden is nothing like what her mum and the press show shifters to be. He is thoughtful, reserved, and apparently super sexy, which of course he is. He's the lead in a paranormal romance and I am here for it. And then we've got Cade. He has abdicated his throne and he just wants to stay out of any politics. I think now the humans know it's getting messy. And his sole responsibility for the next 9 weeks is to make sure that no idiots can derail the deal he has cut with the one woman who is holding all the cards. The problem is that threats against Talia are nothing compared to the dangers of the wolf who has now claimed her as his mate. And yes, I have heard great things about this. It looks like a Nalini Singh kind of Lana Parachek situation. We've got a macro plot that springs across the whole series, but each book follows a different couple. I'm in the mood for a really good paranormal romance, and I just had a look at the page count, and this is 768 pages, but I'm sure I'm going to just fly through it. But I do kind of love these covers. They are giving me just that kind of paranormal romance vibe, and I am living for it. So to get a qualifying in restoration, I need to read a book with a poisonous plant on the cover. This one was hard. I'm not gonna lie, I was considering to go with mushrooms because I figured mushrooms are poisonous sometimes, but I've decided to go with The Warm Hands of Ghosts by Catherine Arden. I completely love Catherine Arden's writing style. I'm obsessed with her Winter Night trilogy, and this is her new release, and it's for an adult audience, and it is a historical fantasy set in World War I. For whatever reason, I'm not a big fan of World War II, but World War I don't mind. And in the US cover, we have a poppy on the cover, and poppies can be poisonous if used incorrectly. So we're following a Canadian nurse as she searches for her brother who's believed to be dead in the trenches despite the eerie signs that suggests otherwise. I'm not sure what is exactly happening. If I'm assuming ghosts, that's what's happening. But again, I love Catherine Arden's writing style and I do love a historical fantasy, so very much excited to dive into this one. And then to complete restoration and get my distinguished grade, I need to read a title that includes a verb. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going with That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf, because in this situation I believe yeeted is a verb. Yep, your verbs are doing words. She's yeeting. It's a stretch, I don't care. And it's a good way to force that palette cleanser onto my TBR. The last class I need to complete is shapeshifting, and I need to get another distinguished in this class. So for the ordinary, I need to read a book with jewelry on the cover, and I'm going for The Blackthorn Queen by Melanie Karshik. And this is the first book in her Eagles and Crowns series, and my understanding is that it is like a historical fantasy, and it takes place in Iron Age Britain and following Princess Kariti of the Brigannites tribe, and they're facing a uncertain future after her father's sudden death. Looking at the fact that it's set in 38 AD, stretching my memory, not really my historical forte, but my mum will probably correct me if I'm wrong. Hi mum. I believe the Roman Empire has rule of some of Britain. Could be wrong. Mum, let me know if I am wrong. And so the father's dead, suspicion falls on the Crow people of the Vodani tribe, and it's then creating some friction between these two tribes. So with the fate of her tribe at stake, she must learn to navigate these treacherous political waters. So I love historical fiction. It seems mythological based, and I haven't read a lot about this time period, and I'm not super familiar with the Celtic folklore and mythology, so I think this is going to be a great introduction. Very very different to the other books, but I think that might be good as a palette cleanser. The next prompt was actually a planet name in the title, and I'm not a sci-fi fan at all. There wasn't anything on my shelves or anything on my digital TBR that had a planet in the title. There is an option with the Guild Emporium that's newly implemented in this readathon that I could cash in some points to change out the prompt. So I decided to change it for wheel of color. So I use a color wheel to decide what the color of the book title of my read for this prompt is going to be. So I love these kind of like random prompts. So I've got the wheel of colors here. This potentially could be harder than I think it is going to be, but let's have a look what color my book title needs to be. Oh, okay. Deep orange. Okay, let's find a book with a deep orange title. I'll be back. I thought this was going to be harder than I thought it was going to be, but I have picked 2 options. I'm not really sure if they both count as deep orange, but we'll see. First is a reread for me. I've been slowly doing a reread of the Side Changeling series, and after finishing Primal Mirror, which is the 23rd book in the Side Changeling series, I really miss this world. So if I'm looking for a cozy pick-me-up, I will pick up Branded by Fire, which is where I'm up to in my reread, and this follows the Dark River Sentinel Mercy and her romance with the Snow Dancer Lieutenant Riley Kincaid. If I am not feeling that, or if I'm cool to go ahead with something new, something fresh, I am going to read Blood Orange by Karina Halley, and this is her Dracula retelling, so it definitely fits the gothic vibes. I believe is the first book in a duology. It's like sidebar. I love that Karina Halley just writes and publishes whatever she feels like, because she has been doing some gothic romance retellings. So yeah, either or of those options I will pick based on the deep orange title. And then the last book I need to read to get my distinguished in shapeshifting is a book with a compass on the cover. This was also incredibly hard to find a book for, but I'm going with Sea of Roses by Opal Rain. I have been really loving her Duskwalker Bride series, but I'm interested to branch out and try something new. I've heard really great things about her pirate romance duology, and so I figured what better time to start it. So in this we're following Captain Alistair Payne, who's always had his good eye set on treasure, murder, and sinking ships. His fame as a ruthless, bloodthirsty pirate has spread across the 7 seas. The Howling Death, his precious warship, is the deadliest ship in the ocean waters, striking fear into the hearts of those who see it. So when a deceitful yet sensual woman steals his bloody ship from under him, he wants nothing but revenge. And this sounds so good, and I feel like Opal's definitely going to give us like full Pirates of the Caribbean, Black Sails vibes. Alright, there you have it. That is my giant September TBR. I like the idea of calling it a pile of possibilities, especially for the romance readathon books that I gave you. I could read all of them, I could read none of them, even with the ones for the Magical Readathon, which is a bit more structured in terms of prompts. We could swap things out depending on how I feel, and I might do a vlog, but at the very least you will see the books I've read and chosen for the readathons in my September wrap up. So comment down below and let me know if you're taking part of either of these readathons, and if you are, let me know what your calling is for the Magical Readathon if you're taking part of that one. And if you're taking part in the Romance Readathon, let me know which team you're on. Or you can leave me a, let's go with the wilted rose emoji. That's giving me kind of dark gothic Phantom of the Opera vibes. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I will be posting new videos every Sunday. Linked in the description box below will be information about the readathons, the channels I've mentioned, and also the books I've mentioned. I will also leave links to my social media channels if you'd like to talk to me or follow me on any other corner of the internet. Anyway, that is all from me today, guys. I hope you're doing all kinds of well, and I will speak to you soon. See ya!